When it comes to saving file types in Photoshop, there are a few things that you need to know. The traditional Photoshop file type is called a .psd document, and that just stands for Photoshop document. Okay, so let's go to File, Save As, and that's how we save most things in Photoshop. Okay, so again, it has pre-filled in my title of my document, which I titled whatever we want. So you can change that if you want to, again, to whatever you want. And then we need to decide where we want to save it. So I'm going to save it to my desktop for now. And then format is what we're talking about here. So we have two file types or maybe even three file types that I often save to. But look how many there are. There are so many types of files. And really, you don't need to know most of these. They're kind of crazy and very specific. Again, I don't use most of them. I don't even know what half of them are. So it's up to you to explore and figure out which ones you like. Okay, so for instance, Photoshop is the default. That's going to save your file as a .psd. You can see that right up there. So the other two that I like to save to are JPEG, which is just a flat image. And the nice thing about that is that if you save a JPEG, anyone who doesn't have Photoshop can open that up and take a look at it, which is great. But the problem is that you definitely want to make sure that you save a Photoshop type of document at least once, because otherwise you can't open it back up in Photoshop and edit again. So if you save it as a Photoshop document, Photoshop format, you'll be able to open it back up in Photoshop and look at all your layers, edit it all you want, and you won't lose any of that. But if you don't do this at all and you just go straight for a JPEG, you're going to not be able to update that ever again in Photoshop, and it's going to be a real pain. So I like to first of all save it as a Photoshop file first, and then save it again as a JPEG. The third file type that I like to save is a PDF. You're probably all familiar with PDF files. They're really great, and they usually look very clean and crisp. And again, most people can open and take a look at PDF files, and they're quite nice. So those are the three file types that I like to save to: TIFF, PNG. Those are also different image types that anybody can take a look at and see, and those are all great too. But I would highly recommend saving as a Photoshop file first, and then going in and saving as JPEG or a PDF. So let's go to JPEG, and then we can save, and you can see here that we have some options with saving as JPEGs. You can make it the quality, you can turn it up to really maximum and have it be really great quality. You can see it's 65.9 in file size. Or we can go and scroll it down to small file. You can see it went all the way down to 30. So, you know, Photoshop files can get quite big. There's nothing in this file. You know, I don't have any layers besides the background. So the file type is very small. Once you start getting into megabytes or even gigabytes, it's huge. But right now we're just on case, so it's not a big deal. This isn't a very big file size, so I would go ahead and save it as maximum. And it's up to you to kind of play with this a little bit. As long as you have your Photoshop file saved, you can keep opening it back up and saving JPEGs at all different kind of sizes and see which one looks best for you. Okay, so that's Photoshop files types. Next lesson, please.